On the 25th of November, we were supposed to have seen custom AIB models of the RX 6800 XT and RX 6800 hit store shelves, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Let's discuss that in this video. Hey, if you enjoy content like this, drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and smash that bell so you never miss another video. Hey, what is going on guys? Danny here, welcome back to the channel and I hope you've all been doing well. This is going to be a follow-up content piece for one of my previous videos that I made recently discussing the stock situation around the RX 6800 XT and RX 6800. Prior to the official release day for these two graphics cards, many tech review outlets and myself had been informed by retailers throughout the world that stock was going to be terrible, where the situation would be as bad as the RTX 3080 launch. However, if you go back and take a look at what actually ended up happening, in many cases this turned out to be an even worser launch than the RTX 3080 and 3090, as many retailers didn't even have any stock to begin with. At least with the RTX 3080, there was some initial supply at most retailers, even if it was a measly 5 or 10 cards. Here in Canada, besides a couple Canada Computers locations, nobody had any stock for AMD's new GPUs, and many retailers weren't even taking orders because they just weren't sure if they were going to get any stock at all, and if so, how limited they'll be. This is a definition of a paper launch. I don't care if there were two lucky people who managed to get it off of AMD's website. When people down in the States were telling me that places like Micro Center had such low supply you could count on your fingers how many customers actually managed to get cards. And that's saying something considering they're one of the biggest PC hardware stores in North America. At least with the RTX 3080, you had both the reference and custom models come out at the same time, so you had a higher chance of being able to secure yourself a card. If not, well, at least many retailers were giving you the option to put yourself on a back order for a specific model, and this would help your chances a bit because it's not like everyone was only locked to one reference model or an MSI or ASUS card. There were many options to choose from, so it helped distribute the demand to multiple options. Another thing I mentioned in my previous video was when Frank Azur so confidently stated on Twitter how this wasn't going to be a paper launch. So when people rightfully called him out, the guy basically doubled down, plugged his ears, and said it wasn't a paper launch because he was able to buy one himself. This doesn't prove anything, and he even goes on to say that all he had to do was just refresh a few times. The fact that it's an AMD employee saying this, for that matter, makes it all the more disastrous in my opinion. Their customers are telling you that they can't find cards, but you're choosing to ignore the reality and say everything is fine and going according to plan because you were able to buy one? That doesn't really make sense at all. He really shouldn't have said anything in my opinion, or if he did have to say something, it should have been something more realistic. Something along the lines of, hey, because of the global health crisis, times are tough, supply is going to be short, and we're unfortunately going to be unable to meet all this crazy high demand, but we're asking all of our fans to bear with us and we'll eventually get you your order. This way, people would have known what to expect and everyone wouldn't have been so up in arms about the whole situation because they warned you, but that's not what happened. Instead, they thought it would be a good idea to throw stones at their competitor and claim they're going to have a better launch, which turned out to be the opposite. The situation is a lot worse than what happened with Nvidia, so they really don't have any room to talk here. I guess AMD didn't learn from the whole poor Volta situation after all, but jokes aside, even AMD sent out a memo to their partners in AIBs a few days following the Nvidia RTX 30 series launch in response to the whole scalping and bot situation. But I don't think it was that effective because as usual, the eBay listings and third-party marketplace listings started to pop up, where scalpers are charging insane amounts for these GPUs, which I really hope nobody's actually paying for. Anyways, that was the crap storm that took place on the 18th of November, and even after that, I was still a little bit optimistic that, perhaps when custom models are officially released, this whole situation will turn around, and maybe not completely, but gradually, and that the reason why reference cards were so limited in the first place was because AMD had sent more chips to AIBs, therefore we would start to see more supply come in the following weeks, and customers would have more options to choose from with an abundance of stock. A lot of folks also assumed this was the case as there were two separate release dates, which implied that the partners were just gathering stock to an acceptable amount which they could sell. Also, Kyle Bennett, founder of HardOCP, had this to say: once AIB cards hit, you will see 5 to 7 times the inventory released than what NV had shipped total in North America at this time. AMD will be heavily backloaded into the channel. AMD is shipping ASIC BOM kits nearly daily to AIBs at this point, and will continue to happen throughout Q4. There will be a decent supply through Q4. If someone like Kyle, who has insider information in this industry, is coming out and making these kinds of statements, well, that would obviously raise hope for everyone anticipating these custom graphics cards. Well, on the morning of November 25th, the situation took a complete nosedive, with AMD finding themselves in a deeper hole than before. As discussed earlier, many consumers were expecting to be able to go to their local retailer or go online and be able to purchase a custom AIB RX 6800 XT or RX 6800, whether that was from Sapphire, MSI, PowerColor, XFX, whoever. Just like Nvidia, AMD also has quite a lot of AIBs that manufacture cards for them too, so you would think there would be a lot of options available. Unfortunately, though, hardly anybody was able to buy these custom graphics cards because, again, many retailers were reporting that they barely had received any stock from their partners. Doesn't matter where you go can go on Newegg, you can see all the RX 6000 series listed as out of stock. Micro Center doesn't even have the cards listed on their website, and the story is the same here in Canada for most major retailers. Memory Express had this to say about the situation: "We will not have any AMD RX 6000 series graphics cards available for purchase in-store or online on November 25th. All Radeon RX 6000 series graphics cards from our brand partners are currently delayed with no firm ETAs. We are currently not accepting any pre-orders or back orders, nor will they be added to the website until we receive more information regarding our shipments of Radeon RX 6000 series cards. Thank you for your patience and understanding." You literally cannot buy these custom cards. ProShop, who are a German retailer, straight up posted their inventory count for the custom models, showing that they had a total of 9 ASUS cards that are on the way, and so far only having received 25 reference models. You guys get the picture, so I'm not going to go through every single retailer who posted information like this, but that pretty much sums up the stock situation. Basically, retailers had little to no stock to begin with, they're barely getting any stock, and with no concrete information on ETAs. This whole situation, this whole launch has just been horrendous, which really is a shame because people are going to be looking at how AMD was behaving prior to this launch and say, well, you guys clearly didn't deliver on what was implied. In fact, there's less stock available than what Nvidia had. And this is actually worse on their end because a lot of people were looking forward to picking up these Radeon graphics cards, in spite or, as a middle finger to Nvidia for having low stock for the RTX 30 series. I saw loads of comments from my videos on tech forums, Reddit, wherever, saying that, hey, because Nvidia screwed this up, I'm not even gonna bother trying to get a RTX 30, I'm just gonna go buy AMD because I want to give my money to them now. But, well, it looks like you can't do that either. But wait, the situation actually gets much worse. Apart from the ridiculously low amount of supply, custom models were listed for well above MSRP. This low supply is complemented with horrible pricing. Now, with custom models, I was expecting there to be a bit of a markup. That's usually always the case whether it's AMD or Nvidia, and markups can vary depending on premium models with thick heatsinks, RGB, and now you even have cards with screens on them. But some custom models could still be had for close to MSRP. However, these custom RX 6800 XTs were listed anywhere from $100 to $200 above MSRP, which is very displeasing to see. The reason why this is also terrible is because it only hurts AMD further and completely destroys the value proposition they had going for them. This was something I pointed out in my RX 6800 XT and RTX 3080 comparison video, where I said one of the selling points that AMD had was better price to performance. However, that appeal is completely gone, considering we have custom RX 6800 XTs, which are the same price as RTX 3080s, if not more. At this point, lots of buyers are going to be comparing both of these GPUs and most likely will lean towards Nvidia or the RTX 3080. I know I would, considering I'll get better 4K performance, better ray tracing, have DLSS, it's better for content creation and streaming. Just seems like a no-brainer at this point. Adding on to that, this messed with a lot of initial RX 6000 reviews because many tech reviewers would base their recommendations and conclusions off of MSRP and calculate their cost per frame data with the RX 6800 at $650. However, that is only true for reference models and cannot be applied to custom models, which were a lot more expensive. Here in Canada, the XFX RX 6800 XT cost almost $1,100, whereas I can see custom RTX 3080s listed well below that. Also, here's the other thing I just don't get. I feel like AMD just screwed their partners even further, and their MSRPs are just complete bullshit. I've seen some custom RTX 3080s with prices comparable to reference models. However, that's not the case for AMD, which means that these AIBs are producing cards struggling to meet MSRP targets, and therefore we see these exponential markups. Furthermore, Furthermore, while you might choose to ignore overpriced AIB cards, you actually can't, considering a lot of retailers have said reference models are limited, and it'll be the custom cards that are going to be selling all year round, so you don't really have a choice in the matter. It's just a terrible situation overall, and after seeing all this, you're naturally going to have people and consumers up in arms with their pitchforks. Just go ahead and take a look at the AMD subreddit. It's in utter chaos with how many people saying that AMD handled this launch worse than Nvidia, and I have to agree with them. People will of course be disappointed considering the fact that we've had all these great hardware launches, GPUs, CPUs, consoles, and there was a lot to look forward to, but when it actually came time to buy the hardware, well, good luck with that. At this point, I don't see the situation improving anytime soon. I personally wouldn't put any faith into anything that comes out of AMD's PR team or Nvidia's because we've seen how this all went. They'll say one thing and then the opposite will come true. I'm growing pretty tired of the nonsense and charades, and I hope other tech reviewers can call them out for this disgrace of a launch. I hope you guys found this video to be informative and helpful. Let me know your thoughts down below. Check out the video description on ways to support the channel and for my other videos. If you guys are interested in more content like this, then make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.